Hello and happy full moon in Gemini. So, today I'm going to be bringing you your full moon read. We're going to be reading from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. So, this deck is super awesome. I love tapping into this deck whenever I feel like I need guidance around doing my inner work. And this full moon is definitely calling us to once again do some inner work. If you missed my last reading for the Scorpio new moon, we also worked with this deck because it was definitely a time of going deep and feeling our feelings. This full moon is a little bit different because yes, we are still going deep, we're still feeling our feelings, but because of all of the work that we were able to do with the new moon, which was a super potent Scorpio new moon, now there's a little bit more clarity for some of you. And some of you might still be needing to go deep, and that's okay too. But what I have really been picking up on for the full moon in Gemini is that idea of what's going on the surface versus what's really running the show beneath the surface. And so another deck that we'll be pulling from today is the Shamanic Healing Oracle deck by Michelle A. Motuzas, I believe is how you say it. Really awesome deck as well. Both of these are oracle decks and just really great decks that I feel give a lot of really beautiful and deep intuitive guidance when it comes to doing the inner work that is being asked of us during this full moon. And so with Gemini, what always comes to mind for me is this childlike playfulness and the ability to communicate and connect and create. And it's a really beautiful, light-hearted energy and spirit. I mean, they have this attraction, this ability to like flirt and tantalize like no other. And that's the kind of energy that I feel is really present with this full moon. And there is also another side to the energy of Gemini, and that is that Gemini has the ability to wear the mask. And sometimes beneath that mask and that putting on of just, being super attractive and being super charismatic, there is someone else running the show. And so that someone else that I'm really picking up on right now is our inner child. The inner child that has been wounded and scarred, the one that picked up certain beliefs from the ages of 0 to 7 that now fully run everything you do in your life. And that's the thing is we aren't always paying attention to the operator. We're not always paying attention to the subconscious. And when we stop and we really check in with certain things that we do or don't do, certain fears that we have, we realize, oh, this is something I'm carrying that I don't even know if it's mine. I didn't even realize this was a belief that I was functioning from. And now here it is, totally running the show, totally running my life. And I had no idea that this is where I was coming from. With this full moon in Gemini, we get that energy, we get the invitation to dig deep. We have literally that light being shined on that inner child version of you, that subconscious. And we get to say, all right, what do I need to look at? What do I need to pay attention to be able to move forward? So we're also in Sagittarius season, which started on the 21st. And what's really beautiful about Sagittarius season is that we get to set goals. We get to aim our arrow and shoot for the stars, right? And while that is such a beautiful energy, if we are setting goals based off of subconscious core beliefs that we don't even know are running the show, are we really setting the goals that we want to fully achieve? Are we allowing ourselves to set the goals that we want to achieve? Because sometimes it might be that instead of really going for what you want, you're holding yourself back because of something that was said to you when you were a child that never quite left your psyche. So when we approach this full moon, I feel that it's really important to look at what is it that I need to clear or make amends with so that I can move forward in the energy and in the space that I want to move forward in, and not just from the space that I've been moving forward from up until this point. And so, is it fear? Is it trauma? Is it actually a good belief? Or maybe, something. So, and this is another thing, is that we really want to go away and steer away from the duality of good or bad. So saying a good belief doesn't even really make sense here, because it just is. What is a belief that has kept you in a certain space? Because as we are taking on and building up these different beliefs, all they are is rules for how we live. It's to say, okay, if I do this, I'll be safe, as opposed to if I do this, I won't be safe. And so if we can really step back and look at it from that space, then it might make it a little bit easier when you start to see different things arise, whether it be from certain memories that you haven't really looked at for a long time, different events that have happened that have shaped your core beliefs. Maybe they were traumatic, maybe they were even really super positive experiences, but they have kind of kept you in a certain space. Right now, you get to look at all of that and you get to see, what do I want to move forward with? So it's a little bit more of that letting go of certain energies, as opposed to what are you really calling in? That's the energy that the new moon holds as well. But this is more of a recalibration during the full moon of, all right, during that new moon, I set the intentions, I released, I called in. Let's recalibrate. Did I call in from the space that I really wanted to be in? And if there's anything that's blocking you that is based on that inner child energy, what can you once again make amends with so that you can move forward and go where you really want to go? So to help you out with this, I'm just going to tap into the energy of the collective right now and just see what Spirit has to offer in terms of communication that we can use to move forward. And I just want to kind of also say before we go forward with this that, this communication, none of this is a spiritual thing in terms of religion. Spirit comes in so many different forms for so many different people. And so whatever energy I'm channeling in, this is communication to you from whatever source you believe in and resonate with. And I'm simply sending the message here. So just tapping in. And that first question that I'm going to ask is, what do we need to know or be open to in order to do the deep work of meeting the inner child during this full moon? What do we need to know and be open to in order to do the deep work of meeting the inner child during this full moon? Okay, awesome. And I'll show you the cards once I'm done pulling. So I'm also going to pull one from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell here. What do we need to know or be open to in order to do the deep work of meeting with the inner child? And there's actually a card that is being shown here. That one was actually just like face up in the deck. So I'm going to pull one more. There we go. All right. So the first card that we received was from the Shamanic Healing deck, and it is Truth, the Truth card. This card has an eagle, which I love the imagery on this card because the importance of eagle view. And this is something that I actually had learned through a mentor of mine, Heather Ashamara. She talks about having eagle view. So the ability to step outside of yourself and look at something from above, look at the full picture. And when we talk about this in terms of doing that inner child work, I think it's incredibly important to look at what's true. And so when we start to tap into some spaces that could be kind of traumatic, that could be very triggering, that could bring up a lot of what the current story is that you're operating on right now, it's important to parse out what is coming from an emotional standpoint and what is coming from truth. As children, we take things on very, very matter of fact. It's like, okay, this is very absolute. There's someone told me that something is a certain way, and so I believe it, and it just is, because we're coming from this place of purity. We don't really have anything to weigh certain pieces of information that we receive against. We just know that we trust certain people that we receive information from in our lives, and we lean very heavily on that trust, and so then we just take that as truth. And it's important to look at what is truth for someone else that was given to you as a child that maybe now you're operating on as your truth, but maybe it's not really your truth. And as you've grown and evolved, maybe you've created different truths, different beliefs that now you want to operate from, but you're not able to because you don't realize that, like, under the surface, beneath the mask, that Gemini imagery once again, you are operating off of some other truth. So as you go into this work of diving deep into meeting with your inner child, connecting and seeing what they know, what they've learned, start parsing out the truth that is true for you now, and start looking at things with a more objective lens of, maybe in this moment in time and whatever memory that comes up for you, this was true. But is it true for me now? Is it still helpful for me now? It's really having that eagle vision. And then the other card that came out was share your voice. And it says, come out of the cave, persecution and expression. And so this is such a beautiful card. It's a person that's sitting at the mouth of a cave and kind of looking out into this like vast city of it looks like crystals or like structures, rock formations on the other side of water. And there's like this beautiful sky. I really love this card. There's also a pyramid, a couple of pyramids, right? And those pyramids are signifiers of deep wisdom and spirituality. And to me, what it really says is sharing your voice. And so not being afraid to step into expression that maybe was lost during childhood, that maybe was cut off, right? And what I really feel when I see this card is I'm seeing this woman or this person, this person that's sitting in a cave, and maybe they put themselves in that cave very early on. And they told themselves, I will be safe here. But what's kind of unfortunate about that is they're looking out at the world happening around them, at something really beautiful that's on the other side of this place of safety. And maybe this place of safety was super important at one time, but now they want to explore. They want to share their voice. They want to step outside of their shell. They want to take off the mask. And it's just about going deep and saying, okay, what are the things that have held me back from this expression? And is there any way that I can make amends with those things? Whether it be people that brought you to this place of feeling that you needed to keep yourself safe, whether it be maybe you have some anger, or maybe you have some emotion around some of the beliefs that you created that you need to make amends with before you can actually fully shift those beliefs or let certain things go. So, thinking about the importance of sharing your voice, that you're doing this work so that you can deepen your expression, that Gemini energy once again, and really step into your power. And then the last card that came out was Answer the Call. So, what is your soul calling you to do? Another really beautiful card. This whole deck has really beautiful imagery. And once again, it's somebody who's looking off into the distance, and really dreaming. And it's just like what we spoke about how it's Sagittarius season. We get to really shoot for our goals. We aim for our goals in this time. And we get to really look at, all right, there's a new year coming. And there's so much that I want to accomplish in this new year, whether it be in a career that you have, whether you run your own business, whether it's just personal goals. What is your soul really calling you to do? And when we go back to going beneath the surface and really looking at our subconscious and who's running the show, this is where we really get to clear out space so that we can truly hear what our soul is calling us to do. So that we're not, putting on the earmuffs of fear and doubt and all of those things that kind of kept us in our safe cave before, but are keeping us from getting to the other side, to that place off in the horizon that holds so much opportunity and possibility. Something else that really came through for me very strong with this full moon energy is that the Gemini represents the twins. And when you think about twins, it's like each person is so much of an individual, even though they look exactly the same. And when we talk about sharing our voice and expression, sometimes what's holding us back is that belief from childhood that we're just not good enough, that we're not enough of an individual to really have it even be worth sharing our expressions or our ideas or whatever's coming up for us. And so when I go back to that imagery of the twins, it's like, well, of course you're worth it. Twins look exactly the same, but they both have something so unique to share. And that's the thing, like we all come from one source energy, but we are billions of different expressions of that source energy. And so what's really cool about that is that you could have somebody, on one side of the river doing one thing, and then you have someone on the other side doing something completely different. We're all expressing this divine life force energy through us, this creativity that Gemini holds. And we're all doing it differently because it's coming through a different filter. So when you think about going inward, doing that inner child work, you're reshaping your filter, right? You created a certain filter as a child, and this is how you've expressed yourself up until now. And then when you say, okay, I'm ready to do the work that this full moon is calling us to do, it's not going to always be easy, but it's going to help you uncover your truths, new truths that you've cultivated for yourself. It's going to help you tap into a space of expression you've never been in before. Create a new filter for that expression to come through because you're clearing space. And it's going to allow you to really answer your soul's calling, to dream and dream big. And that is in itself pretty phenomenal and totally worth doing the work that you're being called to do. So another aspect of this full moon is that it is also an eclipse. And eclipses are like portals, right? And so as we come into this eclipse and it's a full moon and you're doing this work, understand that you are also setting yourself up to step through that portal to the other side. It's very powerful and intense energy, but it's totally worth doing. And if you are able to, hone in on practices that will help you to hold the shift of energy that's being made, you're going to come out on the other side with some really solid stuff, like just really feeling clear, really feeling like, okay, I have fully left that in a completely different paradigm. I have stepped through this portal of this eclipse and I am fully someone new now. I'm totally someone different. I have done the work to shift the filter through which I am channeling out my expression, my creativity, my true self, my version of source into the world. And now I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward. And it's not that you're abandoning the inner child. It's that you are meeting this version of yourself that maybe you haven't had time to sit with. And you're sending that version of yourself love. You're sending that version of yourself appreciation, acknowledgement, and any type of support that maybe you didn't get at that age, but you really needed. You're in a space now in this present consciousness where you can go back to that version of yourself knowing so much more now than you ever knew then. And you can offer your wisdom. You can offer your support, and you can hold hands with that version of yourself and say, okay, we're going to heal this. We're going to move forward because we're here to do something great. So I hope that this reading was helpful for you. I feel this very deeply on the collective spectrum that we all really need to take the time to just sit and look at who's really running the show. Are we really happy with that? And move forward in a way that makes us feel aligned. If you would like help with doing your inner child work, I am posting a Gemini full moon meditation. It is an inner child meditation where I walk you through all 7 chakras, major chakras of the body, and we really tap into what did you learn from ages 0 to 7 that shaped the energy that you move forward with in your life, but we're going to break it down throughout the energetic body and the physical body from head to toe so that you really can tap into what are you carrying, where are you carrying it energetically and somatically, and how can you give yourself the nurturing support that you needed at that time so that you feel unblocked, clear, and ready to move forward now. So if you are interested in doing that meditation and that would be something that really helps and supports you on your full moon ritual, then go ahead and click the video and you can do that meditation. And if you want even more juicy tools, you can go to www.lifebythemoonyoga.com/blog, where you can tap into the full Gemini full moon kit that will be complete with Ayurvedic insights, with this reading, with a yoga practice, with the meditation, with some journal prompts and affirmations, everything that you need to support you throughout your full moon ritual so that you can really harness the energy of this full moon and live your life by the moon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a beautiful and happy full moon. If you want more readings like this, more yoga videos, more meditations, more intuitive insight, then go ahead and click subscribe, share this video with a friend, and like the video, and I will see you next time.